What is the creepiest glitch in the Matrix you've experienced? I took a hard news soft news journalism class in college where one of the assignments was to write an obituary for one of my grandparents. The professor told us to write it on a deceased grandparent, but if all of your grandparents were still alive we had to choose one. In my case, all of my grandparents were alive. I procrastinated the assignment until the night before it was due because it seemed like a dumb assignment. Scramming for an easy grandparent to write about, I gave my mom a call and asked her for some basic biographical information about my maternal grandfather, who was still alive. As we were talking about my grandpa's career, my mom couldn't recall the name of one of the companies he worked at. She lectured me about waiting until the last minute to write the assignment because it was late, 10:30 p.m. my grandpa's time. However, she said she would give him a call to see if he was still awake and be able to answer that question once my assignment was due the following morning. When my mom called my grandpa, my grandma answered the phone in a panic. My grandma frantically explained that the paramedics had just arrived and were performing CPR on my grandpa because he had stopped breathing and passed out. My mom was able to stay on the phone with my grandma until they took my grandpa to the hospital, where he was declared dead. In the time my mom and I had been talking on the phone about my grandpa's obituary, he was dying. Out of the blue, at that. He had been otherwise healthy considering his age. We ended up using the obituary I wrote for that writing assignment as his actual obituary. Still freaks me out when I think about the timing. Dude, that's a terrible assignment. I'm sorry about your grandpa. So, before my husband and I were married we lived separately. He would come over and spend time then leave later at night like 11 or 12. He left one night out my front door which has 3 locks, a lock on the knob, a deadbolt, and what I call a hotel lock. It's a lock that you flip the long piece over onto a short peg and then the door can only be opened a few inches. Well, he left and used his key to lock the knob and deadbolt. But I thought to myself I have to go lock the hotel lock. I come down and it's locked already. Absolutely no way he could have locked it from outside. Not long after 9/11, on a Friday, I got up to go to class and had one of those mornings. Broke a glass getting something to drink. Tripped over something going to my car. Was late to class due to a wreck on the way there. Not me thankfully. While at school we heard about a plane crashing. Something about the wings blowing off. Went to work. Went home. The next morning my roommate wakes me asking if I'm skipping class today. After he convinces me it is still Friday I get up and go to class. After noticing the glass I broke is not broke. On the way I pass the same wreck in the same spot. All day I wait to hear about the plane but it never happens. Ends up kinda a normal day. The next day they arrest the shoe bomber and I have wondered if someone rewound that day to stop him and somehow I didn't reset with it. WTF dude. A few months before my first car accident I dreamed about it happening. Everything from the sounds to the placement and the smell was the same. Thing is the girl driving tried to get me to find a different ride because she didn't want to do any extra driving that day. And after the crash I told her about my dream and she said she had the same one the night before and that's why she didn't want to drive. Freaky crap dude. In college I delivered pizzas to make money. I had a delivery that should have taken about 20 minutes. When I returned to the store the manager asked me what had taken so long. I asked him what he meant and he pointed to the computer showing I had been gone for an hour and 7 minutes. I don't remember delivering the pizza, only turning into the store when I was returning. Before anyone suggests aliens, no, my anus was not sore. I also don't drink or use drugs. 20 years later I still have no idea what happened. I had an Android phone which had a Google Cards feature option that could notify you like 15 minutes to home if you were out. I thought this feature was annoying and useless so I kept the feature off. After several months of no cards notifications, one night I'm at home and a card pops up saying 35 minutes to home pinning me at a random intersection on the other side of town. Let's call it First Saint and Story, I think. That's weird. I'm not even way over there. I don't even know where that is. I've never been to that area. I go to my card setting to turn it back off but it's already turned off. That's weird. Double quote. Next night, exact same thing happens. 35 minutes to home from First Saint and Story. What the? Still definitely not over there. Check cards feature and the notifications are still turned off, so no idea why I'm getting a notification. Few days later, a friend and I are out running errands and he misses his intended exit, so he takes the next one. Once on the streets, I ask, where are we? I've never been over here. Suddenly a car to our right tries to turn left and crashes right into us. Messed up the wheel to be unable to turn, so he pulled forward to the curb to call a tow truck. We had our kids in the car, so I call my sister to pick us all up. When my sister asks me for the location, I look up at the street signs. First Saint and Story. 10 years old, in grandma's front yard. She keeps her yard immaculate, award worthy. It's dusk. Family get together. Mum says toss me the car keys, so I do. My throw is short by finger lengths. I assume they landed in the short grass, but we never found them. That was 30 years ago. The yard has been mowed hundreds of times. The house is still in the family, still well taken care of. No keys, ever. When I was little, I used to have a Thomas the Tank Engine book with fold-out parts and flaps. There was this one part which was like a shed and you could lift a flap to see inside it. Inside was all the usual gardening shed paraphernalia. But there was also a black cat sat in there. Here's the glitch though. I swear the cat wasn't always there. I used to love that book, but every time I read it I would get to that page and guess whether the cat would be there or not. Not a clue what that was all about really, but it creeped a young me out. Scrodinger's cat. I was once showering and after about 10 minutes in the shower I hear something ping and hit the floor. I looked down and saw Penny. I was pretty perplexed as you can imagine, but figured whatever, I'll keep it as I imagined it could be good luck. I kept the penny in my wallet for a few years in a zip side pouch. I never really told anyone because it was kind of pointless to talk a random penny I was superstitious about. So a few years later, while at a music festival, a girl in our tent woke up to her penny in her butt crack. We all laughed it off as having a wild night. However, I remembered the penny I had, and when I looked in the zipped pouch I was shocked to find it was gone. I told my friends and they didn't believe me. I think they threw that penny away too. TL. Doctor teleporting us penny. When I was in high school my friend Phil killed himself. I never really knew the specifics. All I know is that he shot himself at one of the local parks. Fast forward 6 years or so and I'm asleep in bed next to my ex-wife. I'm having a fairly normal dream. I was at a store doing something or another. I can't really remember the specifics of the beginning of the dream. What I do remember is running into Phil in the store. When I saw him everything got super weird. He actually looked like Phil. Not like in most dreams where people will be certain people but not look like them. He actually looked like Phil. He looked at me and smiled and said, "Hey man." At the moment the dream got crystal clear. I asked him if it was really him and he said it was. He told me we were gonna hang out for a bit and after that the dream got super lucid. He showed me how to make stuff and generally we just fricked around doing dream things. Suddenly I realized that my dream was coming to an end. I turned to him and asked him if I was about to wake up. He said yes and said he had fun coming to hang out with me for a bit. I don't know why but I asked, "So why do you do it, man? Why do you kill yourself?" The way he answered chilled me to my core. Not necessarily what he said, just how he said it. He replied, "My girlfriend cheated on me, man." He said it like it was a question he'd answered before. Like when someone asks you what your first job was, you've responded with the exact same sentence so many times that it just falls off of your tongue effortlessly. Except I had known his girlfriend and they were the kind of couple that everyone admired. I said, Sophie cheated on you?" His eyes lit up like he realized he was talking to someone that actually knew him in life. He said, "Yeah man, Sophie cheated on me." We gave each other a hug and he wished me well. I woke up and felt super strange. It was somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning. I closed my eyes and thought, "Phil, if that was really you, I need you to give me a sign." No sooner than when that thought finished, my phone started ringing. It came across as an unknown number and only rang twice. I knew I wasn't dreaming anymore because my ex-wife woke up and sleepily asked me who was trying to call me so late. To this day when I think about that story I get chills. It was pretty chill that he just wanted to hang out with you for a bit. This one is more silly than creepy, but once when I went with my grandmother to her friend's house, I was on the porch by myself with a grandmother's friend's cat, and the cat looked me right in the eyes and said the word meow. It didn't sound like a cat meowing at all. It sounded very convincingly like a human carefully enunciating the word meow. 2 syllables, in their most thoroughly unconvincing cat voice, like someone intentionally doing a very poor impression of a cat, as a joke. But it was perfectly in time with the movement of the cat's mouth and there was no one else around, so it had to have been the cat saying it. TLDR, met a cat that could talk, but the only word it knew was meow. I swear my cat says moo when he's 12 years old and has heard my kids get my attention that way his whole life. It's creepy. When I was about 15 I was eating some cereal and accidentally dropped my spoon into the kitchen floor. I watched the spoon fall. As it hit the floor, it just vanished into thin air. I was shocked. I thought surely my eyes were playing tricks on me. It must have just bounced away and gone out of sight or something. I spent 30 minutes searching the kitchen for that spoon. I was honestly kind of freaked out. I tried to think of every possible place it could have gone. There weren't many places it could have ended up. I never found it. There is no spoon. Just today at the mall I saw at least 10 men with the same bleached haircut in the food court. I think the character generator is broken. I was walking my dog. On his leash there is a little plastic attachment that holds his poop bags. I dropped the leash onto the ground. I heard the plastic hit the ground, but it turns out it ended up back in my hand. Imagine dropping something, hearing and seeing it drop, then somehow it's in your hand, all under a couple seconds. Check the carbon monoxide detector outside. I was 11 or 12, early 70s. Dad came home one Friday and announced we were going to Kings Island, a fairly new amusement park, tomorrow. I begged him to let me invite my friend Chris to come along. He said okay, as long as Chris could pay his own way. Great, off to the phone I went. Pick it up. No dial tone. Hello. Oh my god, is that you, Chris? I was just calling you. What's up? I was calling to ask if you'd like to come to Kings Island tomorrow, but you have to pay your own way. No phone ever rang. We both called each other at the same time to ask the exact same thing. A few nights back I was wide awake in the guest bed at my place and heard quiet footsteps and then my wife say hey gently at the door. It seemed weird, so I got up to see what she wanted and she was fast asleep in bed. Before you ask, I was in a separate bed as I have a cold and have been snoring really loudly. If you had a cold, 10-12 Benadryl could have caused this. My daughter and I were on the couch one day when she was younger and we heard the sound of popcorn from microwave. It wasn't a constant popping but 1 or 2 pops every 10 seconds or so. Then the entire living room filled with the smell of buttered popcorn. No one was making popcorn. The microwave itself did not smell like popcorn and the smell was only in the living room. I went as far to open the heating vents to see if there was a rogue bag of popcorn in there. If it was just the smell and not the sound or vice versa I would easily explain it away, but it was still one of the strangest events. I was sitting on my porch and had my debit card on the table in front of me. I went inside to get something to drink. Patio furniture in sight and a 6-featuring privacy fence around the yard. I also lived alone. Went back outside and it was just gone. I searched everywhere, inside and out, but couldn't find it. Nothing was withdrawn from my account, so 2 days later I cancelled it and requested a new one. 2 weeks later I went out to sit on the porch. I did this every day, and the old card was sitting right there on the table. It just freaking appeared. There was nothing else on the table. It just was gone. And then it wasn't. Was going down the stairs and went past my brother who was coming up the stairs. Said hi and he sort of mumbled back. Got downstairs and walked through to the kitchen, only to find him standing there. WTF. I was getting on an airplane and a ginger yelled out for some dude Sebastian at a different gate. When I landed, a different ginger called out for a different Sebastian. They missed him in the saddest fashion. A few days ago my wife and I were settling down to watch a movie in the living room. She switches off the light in the room. There is a light switch right above the sofa, and we start the film. A few minutes into the film we notice the light is on. It was weird because we didn't notice it switch on. Just kinda noticed that it was on, but we have no idea how long it was on for. We both clearly remembered that the light was switched off. It's part of our movie watching setup. We like the cinema experience. It confused the heck out of us both. I'm a security guard at a distribution warehouse. Sometimes I have to work graveyard shift. During this time the only people on the premises is me, and a rare truck driver bringing in a late load. Our guard shack is concrete, with sliding glass doors on the sides, no locks, and big windows in front and back. Sometimes when I'm the only person on the premises, I'll see a reflection of someone walking past the shack. Every inch of this shack, and the yard, is covered by security cameras. No one has shown up on the footage when I see these reflections. Please tell me you have told this story mostly word for word in a different thread before, because if not, this is my glitch in the matrix. Long ago when I was kid, my younger brother and me were driving our bikes on the embankment alongside the river, and there was a huge dam thingy on the river. I grew up in this town and I never knew we had a dam. When we got home I told my mother that it was the first time I have seen the dam, and she did not know what I was talking about. Later I returned, there was nothing there. My brother does not remember, but I have seen it as clear as day. I'm sure it was my imagination, but it's strange. I did not dream it. Since my brother remembered that we were there, he just doesn't remember the dam. Dang. You have been visited by the chonk of good luck. Good fortune and lucks will come to you, but only if you comment "Oh Lord, he coming." I hope you enjoyed the glitchy video. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I post new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.